So I wanted to discuss daydreaming. Uh, it's not something that I ever thought I would be discussing, or something I ever linked to being the symptom of something much bigger or more important or specific. Even it's just like, yeah, it's a thing that happens. It's random, right? It's just you start daydreaming because you aren't focused on a specific task, and then you end up over here in your thoughts and over there. And I find that daydreaming for me, I guess that it's one of those things that you could attribute it to this or that or this or that. So there's no point in really attributing it to anything if you can't be accurate with what you're attributing it to. But one of the things for me is that I daydream in a lot of ways that are sometimes not nice. My mind, because of anxiety, I think my mind just goes down some paths, anxiety, and I don't know what else, but like it goes down these paths sometimes that are very sad or dark or not desirable at all, and it just that's where it starts going. It's not like the trope of just sitting in the middle of class and your mind is just like thinking about how you could be doing something else right now, skipping down the street with lollipops and rainbows and whatever else on a beautiful summer day, but you're trapped in class. Like a lot of other times, it's just like thinking about what if this happened, what if that happened, what if that happened, and it just goes with like pretty automatically, without me having to put in any brain power really. It just goes. And on the other part of that, though, is the daydreaming about just random stuff. And I wonder if that type of daydreaming is more associated to escapism. Of like, I don't want to be processing and thinking about my reality right now and what I'm living and what I'm feeling based off of the events of my life that are currently happening. Therefore, I am off in Neverland in my thoughts because that if that is occupying my brain, then I'm not thinking about the other stuff. But it just seems like to have been a coping, if that is an automatic coping mechanism that I've developed, seems to have developed at such a young age that it's just always been an automatic thing for me. And it's not necessarily out of boredom, but maybe that too, because I hate being bored. Like, being bored is the worst. However, I can never just sit in a room by myself and do nothing and just have daydreams and that occupies me so it's not boring. Like, that doesn't supplement boredom by on its own. Like, that does not engage me enough to not be bored. If I'm not doing anything else, I would still be very bored. I'm sitting there in the doctor's office with nothing but my own thoughts. Like, that's super boring. Like, so I know already that I fill like a void of stimuli as often as I can. Like, again, the example of sitting in the doctor's office. If I can't be reading, then maybe I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm scrolling on my phone, or I'm trying to do something to occupy myself. And it's not just because I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. It's boring. Like, I find that I am processing things so much all the time automatically anyway that I don't need that time to just sit and reflect. What am I reflecting about? I'm processing, not only today's events or yesterday's or projecting into possible future scenarios. I'm thinking about things that happened years ago and doing that just all the time. It's just automatic reflection all the time, which isn't very guided, which is why it's nice to have like journals and stuff that have like prompts and questions, or a gratitude journal. That itself is like, what can you think about today that you're grateful for? That's the prompt. Like, that's an everyday prompt, right? But anyway, I was just thinking, if is that maybe another reason of being drawn to art, of just like that daydreaming aspect. Like, I don't make fantastical art where I'm getting lost in some surreal world that doesn't really exist, and I'm creating like weird little animals and landscapes of things that are not found in nature because I just want to daydream and get away from my reality. But it's interesting just because I feel like I express my reality more than not, because I'm expressing things like abstractly how I'm feeling right now in that moment and processing through that. So I think that I don't know, to me I guess that's the opposite of the escapism daydreaming scenario, is that no, I'm not escaping my reality. I'm confronting it through art, um, and processing it and then working through it. But daydreaming just seems like it's this weird. Again, I just something I've never really thought about because it's just like I don't know why. Like it's why do you blink more than normal? Oh, I got into a weird habit and I guess I blink more than I need to. Like I don't know. That's just like a weird. It's just an automatic response. It seems, and daydreaming for me has been an automatic response at several different. Like there's not a specific type of time in the day where it could happen, or only when I'm faced with boredom. It's just like if there's room, it happens, and sometimes if there isn't room, it happens. And I start thinking about I don't know, and there's differences between daydreaming versus like trying to process problems in my life, because sometimes that happens too, where it's like I'm in the middle of trying to read a book or something, and it's just like I start processing things that I wasn't able to leave behind in the course of reading, like reading being this active thing I want to do in order to have an activity where I can focus on that one thing and maybe leave the other things behind for a bit, very much deliberately, and I'm not able to because my mind keeps dragging me back to the stuff that is unable to be resolved at that moment, or I don't want to at that moment, or there's no resolution for it at all. It's just this thing that I'm thinking and feeling that has nowhere else to go with it. So anyway, I don't know. I was just thinking about daydreaming and how maybe it's not just a simple, innocent thing your brain does. I don't know, because people talk about dreaming, oh, your dreams, and like, I don't think they mean anything. I think that there's reasons as to why you might dream about certain things on certain days because of the course of events of that day. Maybe you met a person or you saw a person again, and then they happen to be in your dream later that day, and it's just processing and filtering things and whatever. Or if you're very stressed, you might have a stress dream, right? Like those things make sense to me, but I don't think there's any symbols in your dreams that mean this, that, or the other thing. But I just think of like with daydreaming, though, I wonder like not so much what am I daydreaming about, but the fact that I'm daydreaming at all and how often it happens and where it happens, why does it happen, and I wonder if that is a coping mechanism and like an automatic response that has been practiced and built very subconsciously for decades as a way to not continually be in an anxious state thinking and feeling things that I cannot control or resolve on my own.